Hello, class. My name is Jose Rivera, and for my final project, I chose to analyze a Native American film, and the film I selected is Disney's Pocahontas, made in 1995. Now, before I show you guys a clip, I want to give you guys the brief synopsis on Pocahontas. And so, Pocahontas is a film based on a real life person, but it's a very fictionalized tale of this person. So, the person in the movie is basically a Native American princess, and she gets into a kind of situation where she meets a colonist by the name of John Smith. And so John Smith is a part of this like colonizing group. They want to like take over Virginia, and there's a bad guy on their team. Very greedy, very the epitome of a colonist named John Ratcliffe. And now Pocahontas and John Smith, they form a little tender bond where they kind of meet each other, they understand each other, they grow and learn that there's not really any bad blood between the two, but to their own groups, there's animosity and there's just no understanding, and it takes Pocahontas and John Smith to basically speak to these two groups and finally make them understand each other and talk to one another. And now it's pretty much a really weird tale, I might add, but there's some good to it, which I did not expect going into this movie. And one of the good is this clip I'm about to show you.
The earth is just a dead thing you can claim, but I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew, you never knew. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or ask the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
From the minute the clip starts, it already ties into common themes we've dealt with all year long. It's the common theme of the spiritual side within nature and within animals. Animals play a huge role within Native American literature, as we see it in stories and myths that we've read. Within these Native American stories, they tend to personify animals and nature. Now, in the Pocahontas film, she warns John Smith about hurting animals and intending to like kill them. She goes on and is like, there are people too, they're alive just like us, and you have to give them the same sympathy. That is very reminiscent of myths that we've read where people take the form of, owls, for instance, or bears, and it's just this common theme within Native American literature that we have to be nice to animals. Now, the film takes this personifying lesson and actually personifies nature as alive within the film, as there is a talking tree within Pocahontas, and it's kind of like the film's guardian angel towards Pocahontas, and it just starts giving her life advice and everything. What I can take from this film is its repeated use of symbols, and what I said earlier about Pocahontas being based on a real person is true, but also not true. This film's depiction of Pocahontas can only be seen as a symbol. She is the epitome of native teachings and following your heart. Pocahontas is the essence of loving people and nature, and she is courageous to the max. She's a true princess. The story of the real-life Pocahontas is much more grim and sad. Her real name was Mauwaka, and she was married off to a white man when she was pretty younger. and this white man took her back to England and basically used her as an example of a civilized savage. It's disgusting and brutal, and that's where most people have an issue with this telling of Pocahontas. It's an example of revisionist history, and it's something that happens way too often within the Native American community and culture, within Native American culture. When the film does divulge within Native American culture, it plays music not central to any tribes nearby, and not even the one that it's representing. It indulges in stereotypes such as the Hollywood Indian, which is when they show a Native American person in full headdress gear and face paint and feathers, the whole shebang. It might, and there's a common thing with the Pocahontas movie that it might actually be making kids believe that Native Americans are kind of like mythical and they're not really real people. And now that might be crazy to say, but there's this problem within American I guess teaching of Native Americans, and it's much more common than you guys might think, and you guys might be like really surprised when you guys hear this, but there's a lot of Americans that just don't think that Native Americans exist for some reason. It blew my mind when I read about it, and it kind of made me realize how dumb we are as a country. But I do think that Pocahontas kind of does play into this role of like trying to portray Native Americans as mythical and mystical, and I want to say that it's really leaning into being a kids movie. And now my first experiences with Pocahontas was probably watching it in like second grade, third grade back then. And so I remember being fascinated by all the colors, all the animation, all the magic that was going on. But as a Native American myself, of course I know Native Americans exist, but there could have been a classmate or so that probably just thought we were like aliens or something.